Welcome. You're listening to Sports Econ 101, the show where we discuss sports topics from a business perspective. I'm your host, Edward Brown, along with my co-host, Vern Glenn of CBS affiliate KPIX TV in San Francisco, and Russell Jackman on the phone yet again because he's doing his lawyerly thing of driving to the office.
Commute.
Love it.
The commute from hell. That
Okay.
everybody.
That's how it is. Actually, yeah.
Yep.
How many miles you have to drive?
Oh, per day it's 100.
Oh,
Wow.
And with people going back to work, that the traffic is a little bit heavier than it used to be.
There's times. Certainly, there's times that it's gotten worse.
You know what?
Yeah,
if you left at
lucky
4 a.m., you'd get there on time. All right.
Oh, yeah,
Each
that's-
commercial break, we're going to ask us a trivia question. And today it's going to be American League, Major League Baseball teams, the first 100 seasons. And these
Okay,
are
I'm
not,
already out. I'm
no,
already
they're
out.
not. No, these are not quite as hard as they could be. You know, there's no Louisville.
Yeah, but I
Cardinals
hate the American League. I hate the American League. I hate it.
So if it was a National League, it would be okay.
Yeah, I might stand a chance.
Yeah, the Louisville Colonels, you know everything about them, and the Cleveland Spiders, and the Brooklyn Bridegrooms, and all those kind of fun things. Okay. All right. When we come back, I want to talk about these stupid fans who are running onto the basketball courts and what they're going to be
It just
charged
happened.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again. Yeah. I mean, it's like, remember there was a time in baseball where like almost every few days someone would run onto the field.
Remember Morgana?
Yes, I was just going to mention her. Yeah, the pretty,
Yeah.
the woman who was there, quite there.
Yes.
So let's say that. And yeah, she'd go up to the players and kiss them. And I don't think she ever really got in trouble. She just got escorted.
Yeah.
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 But it was kind of all in fun.
She wasn't tackled to the ground and then,
No,
taken
and then
to the pokey. Yeah.
and do you remember Rick Monday tackling those guys who were trying to light the flag off in
I can remember Mike Curtis, then a linebacker for the Baltimore
Colts? Yeah.
Actually just full throttle, just level a fan.
Oh,
That man-
yeah. I think I remember that one. Okay, stay with us. Sports Econ 101. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Yeah, we're just mentioning Mike Curtis, 32. That's not a linebacker number. That's a running back
He was
number.
then. Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and when you met him, he made his presence felt.
Big dude, big tough dude. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about this. So what's going on with all the fans running onto the basketball courts? Is this like after COVID type of, I got to get my attention? What do you think?
I think so, and I think people have forgotten how to behave in public. They've been, isolated by themselves for a year where everything they did was fine, because they're the only person that they affected for a year. And they've lost their manners and their ability to handle dealing with the public. I mean, we're seeing it on airlines for sure.
Yeah, that's true. That's right. I wonder,
of course, we had that.
I'd like to ask these fans after, A, getting banned for life, and then B, having criminal charges against them, go, was it worth it? I wonder how many of them would say, yeah, I'd do it again. I just can't see that happening.
They probably would.
I wonder how it used to be it would take a little liquid courage to be able to run out there and act a fool.
When we say liquid courage, meaning, but you have to just, you'd be drunk to do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you have to be very fast. Also, it's funny, years ago.
It's not like you're going to get away. I mean, you're committing a crime in a place that you have absolutely 0% chance of getting away with a crime and being able to walk away without any repercussion.
Yeah, and Vern, you were mentioning Mike Curtis decking some guy for running on, and I guess nowadays they tell the players, look, A, we don't want you to get hurt, B, lawsuits and all that stuff, so let's successfully handle it.
One time, a long time ago, I saw a pro wrestling match where this drunk guy tried to run into the ring and mess with one of the wrestlers, and it was kind of funny because the good guy wrestler stood back. The guy who was the face stood back, and the heel guy came in and just absolutely destroyed the dude. Just absolutely beat the living tar out of him. And the security didn't do a thing. They waited for maybe about 10 minutes to come in, and then finally, drag the guy off, and he was all bloodied, and I'm sure he learned a very significant lesson to never do that.
Yeah, unless that was staged, I'd be a little
No,
scared. I'd be a little scared to
no.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of ridiculous.
That was not part of an angle. You could tell by the way the guy was beating the other dude up. Look, these wrestlers, everyone's like, oh, that's fake and it's staged and all this stuff. But you don't want to, tell a guy that is that has to fight for a living to actually, take you on in a fight. It never ends well for the people who tell those wrestlers, oh yeah, I can show you guys how to fight by getting in the ring.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, that's not a good thing. I wonder, and then Russell, you're the attorney here on the show. What do you think about the fact of like what if some security guard or even a player tackles one of these guys and they get hurt? Is there going to be some silly attorney out there who's going to take their case on?
Oh, you read you. No, you read the back of the ticket that is in microscopic type, and it tells you that they have a right to pretty much beat the hell out of you if you step on the field. You sign away so many rights on the back of that ticket, and to enforce safety and to enforce the safety of the players and referees and so forth. They have to do that.
But they didn't have to use excessive. But they didn't have to use excessive force. They could have just said, "Tap me on the shoulder," and said, "Excuse me, sir, would you please?"
Excessive is subjective.
Yeah, that's
excessive
true.
is subjective, and so you don't know if the player, if the idiot fan has a gun or a knife or poison gas or a variety of acid or different things that you could throw on a player. You just don't know, so you have to act to make sure to ensure the safety. And this idiot, those idiots obviously don't care about the safety of themselves or anyone else, or they would sit in their damn seats and watch the damn game.
Do you remember? Do you remember in '77, Chris Chambliss hitting that home run? He's running around. And these guys are coming, running, patting him on the back. I think they even did the same thing with Hank Aaron when he hit.
Same with in Hank Aaron style.
Yeah,
crowds used to be okay.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, you get 100 of them running onto the field. That's kind of hard to start corralling them. But one or two. So actually, in that vein, I want to continue on. So the Celtics fan who he's charged with a felony for throwing a water bottle on Kyrie Irving, and I'm kind of curious. I don't know if the water bottle was filled. Was it just an empty bottle? Because does that matter from the standpoint of what gets thrown? Because what happens if he had cotton candy and thrown it on him? Would he still get a felony? Would it still be the same treatment?
Well, it's the act with intent to throw and hit your target.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that in an empty bottle. You're not going to have that kind of velocity. It'll never make it.
And understand this. They will charge him with a felony, and then they plead down usually. So you start high when you're with the the prosecutor, and then you give yourself some level to move downwards, or to plead.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good point. I mean, hey, I remember Slapshot when one of the Hanson brothers gets hit with a chain in the lip. You remember that? The movie?
I remember getting beat up by the Hanson brothers when they came to the Cow Palace as kind of an appearance. This was a live shot during the Six, and the bit was I was supposed to be in full gear, just kind of milling around in the back of the live shot while the Hanson brothers were being interviewed by Gary Radden. She's our at one time for the audience a one time very very popular sports guy that I worked with on television. And so Gary kind of baited them into going after me.
So you knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, and they just dropped their sticks and they went after me and just
so that was a big surprise for you then.
Well, no, I mean I was in on the bit.
Oh, okay.
But when you see them come after you, then it's like, whoa.
And they're pretty big guys. I mean, I know they kind of have the goofy look. With the glasses.
Especially in full pads, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, can you imagine being like really playing hockey and getting checked?
Man, those guys. I mean,
thrown out?
and those guys are throwing punches. I mean, with the intent to connect. I mean, it's
especially if you have skates on where you're going that fast. Full velocity. I mean, guys get knocked out of the ring and all that kind of stuff. That's crazy. Okay,
but the skates are one of the reasons why it's hard to throw a punch in hockey. You don't have a firm base on which you're punching. So you don't have as much force behind the punches.
True.
You're moving around and you're not exactly stable as if you're rooted in one spot. You can really throw a punch like a boxer.
Well, that's true. Hey, if you're ready for our first commercial break trivia question, we're talking American League, Major League teams for the first 100 seasons. Babe Ruth hit 50-plus home runs, in a season 4 times in his career. Which American League team was the next to have a player hit over 50? And see if you can name the player. I think it's actually easier to name the player than it is the team, because you unless you remember which team he played for. All right.
All right. So re-ask the question again.
Okay. So Babe Ruth hit 50-plus home runs in the seasons 4 times in his career. Which AL team was the next to have a player? Right, because he played for both Boston and Yankees, which are American League. So who was next in line basically to have a player hit over 50 home runs in the American League? All right. Babe Ruth was number 1. This person and this team was number 2. All right. Stay with us. Sports Econ 101 we'll be right back. Do not touch that dial. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Edward Brown here. Vern Glenn over there. Russell Chapman on the phone. And you guys are teasing me about when I say don't touch that dial, because nobody has dials anymore on the old radios,
Oh, yeah.
Don't touch that two tin cans and a string. All right. Here's our first trivia question. Babe Ruth.
Make sure to adjust your vacuum tubes. Make sure to adjust your vacuum tubes.
on a TV. All right. Babe Ruth hit 50-plus home runs in a season 4 times in his career. Which AL team, and see if you get the player, was the next to have a player hit over 50 home runs? So Babe Ruth,
I'm going to guess the Detroit Tigers.
I was going to go there. I was going to guess that too.
Well, who would have been? Oh, and who would have been the player?
Ty Cobb?
No, he never hit home runs. I think well, first of all, it's not Detroit. You probably were thinking of Hack Wilson in 1930, because he had he had 196 RBIs, but actually, now if you think of Connie Mack, what would be the team?
I would think of the Philadelphia Athletics.
Okay, that is correct. Okay. Now who was their big home run hitter back then?
Blank. I told you this wasn't going to be my best category.
Blanking.
Jimmy Fox.
Jimmy Fox.
I was going to say home run Baker. He was even before, I think. He had like 5 home runs or something, and they called him Home Run Baker. They didn't hit too many home runs in the dead ball era.
Jimmy Fox with two X's, I believe.
2X, that is correct.
Yeah.
Double X they called him.
Wasn't my answer Rod Strickland last week impressive?
Yes, I was impressed with your Rod Strickland answer
I'm
last
going to have to live off of that.
week. Well, let's see. Wait a minute. Hold on. Actually, the next question's fairly easy, so we'll get your confidence back up again.
Fairly.
Excuse me. Okay.
Okay.
Moving on. Naomi Osaka withdraws from the French Open, saying that she did not want media distraction.
I thought she was citing mental health.
Well, I think it's all
Rolled
together.
in together?
Yeah, because I'm looking at this and I'm going, okay. And Vern, being in the TV media, how do you deal with people who, players who just they don't want to give you the time of day? And are they forced to do media? We talk about how Marshawn Lynch, he did media. He just kind of said, yeah. I mean, it's not really anything.
And he famously said, "Well, I'm just here because I don't want to get fined."
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny because you look and you go, yeah, that's not really an interview.
Most players' associations are in agreement with whichever organization they work for, that there must be some sort of media access, media relations, whatever. But then there's some players, particularly in baseball, there are some they just standard policy. No, I don't talk to the media, and
And do they get
and
fined?
that was just kind of the, but they didn't get fined. Now these players. I'm thinking of Eddie Murray and things of that nature. I mean, they didn't get fined at all. It was just understood that they just did not talk to the media. That was just kind of the way it is. Now you have these mandates with playoffs and postseasons and media sessions and stuff like that, where it's a mandatory thing. And even the NFL season now, usually on Wednesdays, there's an hour where in the middle of the day where a player must make himself available to the media. Now, some players duck around and going, "Well, I got to go get treatment, man."
Yeah.
And then they leave, and then they just wait you out. So
Well,
when you leave, then they come back. There's ways to kind of
Sure.
get around it, but in the case of Osaka, even before the French Open even started, she had said, "No, I'd rather not." And then came out, well, I'm not going to. And then when the threat of a fine, she may have even have been fined. That's when she said, well, that's it. It's just not even worth it to me. And
I don't get it. First of all, I've never met a microphone I didn't like. I'm always a media hound or a media whore, whatever you want to call me. But I love being interviewed, and so I don't understand why people are. If you get into a business where you know that there's media coverage and that you're expected to talk to the media, why you do it? She could work in an office somewhere and no one would ask her opinion.
Okay, I'm gonna take a guess at two different reasons. One being a quote, either misquoted or being embarrassed, getting a question thrown at you that you really don't want to answer. Or the other part of it, as she had stated, that it's a distraction. I mean, if she really is trying to just concentrate on her game, she doesn't want any of those other distractions. She's not going to go out on dates or, go to Disneyland or something. I mean, she's focusing on her craft, tennis, for a specific period of time. I mean, I remember even doing, when I was bowling, I was so careful not to
do the other side
anything.
of it. If there's no media coverage of what she does, then there would be no money in what she does, and she couldn't do it for a living. Therefore, she owes the media that much because she wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for the media covering it. If nobody cared at all about tennis, how could she do it for a living?
Well, they could do it after the event, right? Like, don't she doesn't want to talk during I'm sure after the French Open. If it's
okay. I had misheard that. I thought she didn't want to talk to the media at any point in time.
I think specifically this was about the French Open, and she just did not want to make herself available. Usually after the match, you come in, you make yourself available, you answer. I mean, you're there maybe 10 minutes, 10. And then you leave, and then that's it until your next match. And then post match, you come in and you answer a few questions, and then you're out of there. But Naomi Osaka didn't want any of that. And then there are going to be listeners and viewers that tune into the show that know people who have battled with mental health. And those two words, it's a very sensitive matter. And I don't know anybody that's had that kind of mental health where it's going to throw them off or whatever, or make them uncomfortable to be in a room full of people. I
guess the other way to do it is if you're such a bad interview that people don't want to do it anymore.
But she's been great in the past. Yeah. She's been terrific in the past.
Yeah, and I guess the thing is, if suddenly she acts off color, that's almost a story in itself. So it's almost like, sort of like a Jerry Springer type show where it's like, gosh, I sure hope she does something kind of really off. Like I think, what was it, a couple of years ago, Brian Price just swore like crazy for the Reds as a manager. And I mean, it's just blew up on YouTube.
Brian Price, by the way, another local product.
Yes. In fact, yeah, we had him on, years ago. And then it was like about a year later, it was this big blow up on YouTube about all the swearing that happened.
He was asked a question, and then that kind of set him off, and then he said, "Well, I have a question," and then boom, went off for a good minute.
And as Kramer said in Seinfeld, he let the expletives fly.
He did. Well, I mean, he comes from the school of if I'm dealing with the player, I'm going to deal with the player first, and then we will release information on what we're doing with said player, and then but in this particular case, it was a player being activated or sent down or something. I believe a player's being sent down, and it got out to the Twitter world before Price could even address it, and he was upset about that.
Yeah, I get that. I'd be a little bit frustrated myself if like that kind of stuff happened.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see here. We got one more minute. When we come back, I wanted to ask you guys about antitrust with potential NBA players. Remember how the antitrust rules don't apply to Major League Baseball? Is that still the case there, Mr. Jackman?
Yeah, that is. They still have the exception.
I guess it's really for the fans. That's the reason, right? Because otherwise you'd have all these...
it was granted by Congress. Congress did it because they were fans of baseball and wanted to give baseball that advantage. Yeah. The other sports don't have that advantage, or at least they don't think. At least not right now. They don't.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Okay, you guys ready? Here's, excuse me. Okay, this is a softball question for you guys. Got to get your ego.
Oh, now you're asking us about softball.
Yeah, it's a softball baseball question. And again, our theme is American League, Major League Baseball teams for the first 100 seasons. In 1936 saw the first Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The hall included 5 players, with 3 of those coming from the American League. I should make this hard for you. I'm going to make this harder for you. And then if you need help, I'll make it easier. I'd like to know which 3 American League players and their teams came from out of that first 1936 Hall of Fame. Actually, you guys know all the 5 players, right? And you know which teams they came from. Come on. Vern, well, I know Vern knows the 1936 inductee
right.
Hall of Famers. Okay. So actually, why don't you give me the 2 National League players and teams?
The 2 National League players.
Yeah, and then we'll see if you know, because if you know them, you know the players, you know which teams they came from. All right. When we come back, we'll see. We'll see how much Vern knows about all the players, all 5 players.
I'm already bowed out. I've already bowed out of this.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Econ 101. I'm Edward Brown, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. So, guys, 1936 saw the first Hall of Fame induction ceremony. The hall included only 5 players, with 3 of them coming from the American League. So I'm gonna see. Vern, first give me the 2 National League teams and players.
Honus Wagner was one of them, I believe.
Correct. What team did he play for?
The Pittsburgh Pirates.
Correct. And so that's a National League team. Who was the other one?
And then Walter Johnson was the other one.
Okay, now he's from the American League.
Okay, Christy Mathewson.
Yes, Christy Mathewson was the New York Giants.
New York Giants.
So that's the other National League. So now give me the 3.
Well, Walter Johnson, I already mentioned.
Yeah.
Babe Ruth, obviously, and Ty Cobb.
Ty Cobb, that's right. Okay, so what were the 3 teams?
Well, Cobb with the Tigers.
Correct.
Ruth with the Yankees.
Yep.
And Walter Johnson with the. Oh God, I'm blanking all of a sudden.
It's a team it's bounced Senators? Around. The Senators, very good. Wow, you got
Washington Senators. Okay,
yeah,
good.
Which was an American League team.
Right.
back then. Very good. All right. Very good,
Well, I
guys.
actually got something right. I would have gotten Babe Ruth and Ty Cobb, the rest, and Honus Wagner. But the other
Okay.
two guys, I wouldn't have grabbed
You
off
wouldn't
the
have,
top of
you
my
wouldn't
head.
have remembered. Okay. All right. So I saw this in Yahoo. An NBA general manager says players have ushered and in an empowerment in the NBA. Basically, they're kind of calling the shots, is what he was saying. And I was kind of wondering.
That it's a players' league.
Yeah, exactly.
The players hold the ball. The players have the power.
That's basically what I'm
Right.
getting at. Yes. So I'm wondering, could players be charged with antitrust if they're conspiring to, let's say, fix their salaries? Hey, LeBron, don't settle for anything less than $200 million a year. And hey, guys, let's all get together and nobody settles for X.
So they collude.
Yeah, collude, exactly.
And they go, okay, this is what we're going to. This is how we maintain the power that we now have.
Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I'm bringing that up is years ago, there was a secretary assistant for my office roommate, and on the side back then she did word processing. Remember word processors? Like
Oh, I used to do that.
Okay.
I used to do word processing.
Oh, okay. So what she did was she just happened to mention in passing, because she did this on the side. She said, "Yeah, a few of us who are in the word processing field, who are independent people, we just kind of got together and just said, hey, you know what? Let's just not charge less than $25 an hour." And she just said it in passing, not thinking it was a big deal. And I told her, I said, you know what? You better talk to an attorney because that's called price fixing.
Oh.
And I said, I'm not an attorney, but I would suggest that you talk to an attorney because you don't want to get in trouble for price fixing, because that's exactly what it is. And in the same thing with the NBA, if players say, hey, listen, let's all get together and nobody, makes less than $1 million a year.
The NBA already has a players union. This is why I'm sort of confused about this whole issue, is that they have a union to do all that, to do the negotiation.
Okay, but even
They
okay,
do.
okay. So, and why isn't that antitrust or price fixing?
Because unions have been allowed legally to have individuals who don't have the power to collectively bargain and have representation for the entire group with elected individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Now, price fixing is when competing businesses decide to then make money by artificially and without any sort of price, it reflecting cost of business or rates going up because of inflation or anything like that. But you decide that you and businesses that normally would be in competition with each other decide to then fix prices and to raise prices based on, or you have a monopoly on something, or such a majority market share that you're raising prices without any reflection of it being a cost of business or something that, like for instance, that pharma bro that bought up all the medication and then decided to then raise the prices for 400% on a drug. That's price fixing. Okay, he had no reason. It's not that his costs of development were excessive.
Well, that actually is, I think I would call that price gouging, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, because price fixing is a little different because he's not really
the same
colluding with
principle.
anybody. It's basically he's got a monopoly on it, and
yeah, it's the same sort of principle. So I don't. So go ahead, Vern.
Yeah. I was just saying, but don't there have to be agreements between union ownership in order for that to be kind of green lighted through?
Well, no, you're right. That's right, because it's basically an agreement. Yeah, so that is a little different. It's just when I saw that, it just kind of made me think. I mean, of course, I think about baseball. Was it Andy Messersmith who was the first one to do the? Was that he's the first one to get the free agency? Because I remember Kurt Flood.
Or was it Winfield?
Or Winfield, yeah. And because again, the baseball owners, same thing. I mean, they shouldn't be able to get together and say, okay, nobody makes over $25,000 a year. Same.
Of course, Barry Bonds said that's what happened to him. That he was blackballed out of baseball when he still could have played his last couple of seasons.
All because of the steroid.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he
Well,
said that that was collusion, and he lost his case.
well, and isn't that what Colin Kaepernick was saying too?
Yeah, and he lost that, and that case went nowhere.
And is it mostly? I guess mostly because they just couldn't prove it with the.
It's very hard. It is very hard to prove collusion.
Yeah, unless you have
Really
emails,
hard.
emails that specifically back it up, right?
Well, not only do you have emails that have to show that it's backed up, but then you have to show that even if one, part of that one other competing business breaks rank, then you sort of, like for instance, if Colin Kaepernick got some tryouts, by Atlanta, I think, and by Baltimore or something like that, and so that said, okay, then you're not colluded against.
Yeah, that's kind of tough because you could still say, sure, we'll give you a tryout, and then it's kind of a wink, wink, nod, nod. Oh well, you looked pretty good, and we'll think about it. I mean, yeah, that's a bunch of garbage on that. Well, that's all I had. That's all I had. Any things you guys want to cover?
Oh,
today?
you had. Oh yeah, there's lots of stuff to talk about.
Go ahead.
Sure.
I mean, we haven't talked at all about the NBA playoffs.
No, go ahead.
Are the Lakers even going to be in one piece to survive the first round? I've never seen the Lakers struggle this hard in the first round with the Davis injury. LeBron is got the weight of the world on his shoulders, and other than Caruso, nobody in that series is stepping up like they did last year.
Yeah, there you're seeing the injuries and the lack of depth coming back to bite you, and which also gives credence to, I don't know about you, Russ, but I think a 7-game series, you really see who the better team is. In a 3-game series or a 5-game series, something like that, you can get lucky, get on a hot streak or whatever. Maybe the best team
series
doesn't win.
How far back do we have to go for the 3-game series?
Yeah, just early 90s first round. But I'm talking about now a 7-game series. You really the better team really does win.
It does, but it also makes that road so much longer for these teams, especially a team like LA that had to play the play-in game that they didn't want to play.
Do you like the play-in game? Do you like the play-in tournament?
I like it.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be better when you give more teams a chance to get into the playoffs. Now, as a Warriors fan, my heart was broken 2 games in a row, so it hurt a lot to watch them lose. And my thought is that, and I'm a stats guy, I think that Steph Curry may be the best statistical player to not make the playoffs in the history of the NBA. For the season that he had, and that he would qualify for an MVP candidate, for him not to make the playoffs, even when he had 2 chances with the play-in games, is depressing.
Well, the old timers they'll counter with Pete Maravich, who played on losing teams, stuff like that. But in this modern era, Steph Curry is the it guy.
Yeah.
And if you compared stats between Curry and Maravich, Curry would blow Maravich out of the water.
Well, yeah, different era, different rules, different, more of an offensive.
Yeah, I mean, so far nobody's come that close to Pistol Pete's college. I think he averaged 45 points a game, and that was before there was no 3-pointers. No offense, no offense to Curry, because obviously he's Steph Curry, but that kind of just shows you it's not a one-man sport. You have to have that. I don't care how good you are. It's a whole team thing.
I've never seen one beat 5. You?
Yeah, no.
But Memphis has shown that, getting that opportunity to get into the playoffs, they've made the most of it. Technically in the regular format series, because the Warriors won that final game of the season, it would have been the Warriors in the number 8 spot playing Utah and not Memphis.
But by the way, the only time I saw 1 beat 5 was Bronco Nagurski dragging 5 guys into the end zone from about 20 yards away. That was in 1940, wow. I think. I didn't see it, but I read about it.
Jim Brown would drag a lot of guys in the goal line too.
Same sort of thing. That's the only time you get the 1 beat.
I wonder what's that. You're true. You want to look at true greatness. A game where everybody in the stadium, everybody watching knows who's going to get the ball. The defense knows, and they still can't stop them. That's true greatness right there. That is.
And it happens with Curry. It happened with Jim Brown. A lot of players like that. Okay. Hey, guys, our last trivia question. We're talking the Major League Baseball teams, 100 seasons, American League, Major League Baseball teams for the first 100 seasons. Okay. Which team saw their pitcher set a 20th century record for the most strikeouts in a season? Which team saw their pitcher set a 20th century record for the most strikeouts in a season?
Okay.
All right. You'll know the player. You'll know the team. All right. American League team. All right. Let's see. Email Edward at sportsecon101.com. The answer to this question: which team saw their pitcher set a 20th century record for the most strikeouts in a season? All right. And stay with us. Sports Econ 101 will be right back with some closing comments. Well, welcome back to Sports Econ 101. Last time for today, I'm Edward Brown, your host, along with Vern Glenn and Russell Jackman. Our last trivia question on American League, Major League Baseball teams for the first 100 seasons. Which team saw their pitcher set a 20th century record for the most strikeouts in a season? Let's see if you guys can just guess it.
Can I get a guess in?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Seattle.
And the pitcher?
Randy Johnson.
Okay, no, that's not it.
I'm going to see. I'll guess.
Who had the most strikeouts in a season? Go on. Fairly modern day.
Well, my first thought was Nolan Ryan.
Yes, that is correct. Nolan Ryan.
And
which
for
team?
The Texas Rangers.
Texas.
No, California Angels.
Oh,
He did it at the California Angels.
Okay.
Yes. Kind of figured I had to. I was going to give you some hints after that. I figured the way I asked it was a little bit odd. All right, guys. Here, you ready for our thoughts for the day?
Oh, bring him on, dad jokes.
One of these you'll really like. Okay. What is a pig's favorite ballet? Swine Lake.
Swine Lake. Nice.
Okay, you'll like
That's
this
a dad
one.
joke.
Yeah, but you'll like this one even more because you're a big Batman fan. What should you use with Batman shampoo? Conditioner Gordon.
Oh, nice.
I like that one.
Gordon. That's cute.
Yeah,
I like that.
Hey, Russell, did you like those?
Fortunately, my phone cut off just as you did those. So I missed them, and I will, I'm sure there'll be some crazy dad jokes next week.
Yeah, there will be.
I hope maybe you choose from the National League next week, because my God, American League, ancient baseball. I gotta admit, I'm not so good.
We had some easy and some hard ones in there. I figured, the attorneys, they don't have a sense of humor. Vern, you and me, we got the sense of humor. All right, tune in next week to Sports Econ 101. We'll be discussing sports topics from a business perspective and asking more sports trivia questions. Thanks for listening. On behalf of our team, I'm your host, Edward Brown. We'll see you next week.
Good night, America.
So long.
Adios.